during the first Janmabhoomi program sponsored by Government of AP. Uh,
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Sir, please start the session, sir. Rajesh Kumar, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you very much, Professor Annapurna, for inviting me to this FDP and giving me an opportunity to interact with the uh, faculty members of different institutes. And there are your students also, ma'am. There are participants include
Yes, sir.
your students.
Research scholars are also there, sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah, nice to note that there are research scholars also in this group. So this presentation is mostly, I mean, as you know, the topic is concrete from gray to green. This will be covering several aspects, but I will not be going in depth into any of the topics. This will be an eye-opener sort of a presentation, and at the same time, you will be getting several research ideas also after the completion of this presentation. I hope you will enjoy this presentation. And at the end of the presentation, I expect few questions. I hope I'll be able to answer those questions. Let me start sharing my screen. Ma'am, this is saying host disabled
Sir, 1
participant.
minute, sir. Sir, 1
Yeah.
minute, sir. Please, 1 minute, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, please share, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Yes, I'm able to share my screen now. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for confirming that my screen is visible and I am audible clearly. Hope my audio and video, both of them are clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. So this is my presentation for the day. The topic is, as you know, this is concrete from gray to green. Let us see what is the meaning of green concrete and how do we convert the concrete from gray to green. This is this is on the FDP Faculty Development Program on Advanced Concrete Technologies. So fitting to the area of the Faculty Development Program, I have incorporated some technology part and part also in the presentation. And you please, if somebody is interested, can make a note of my mail ID, both my personal mail ID as well as my official mail ID is here. If time permits, definitely I'll be able to, I'll be happy to answer the questions, but in case if somebody has any questions after I leave this session, you can feel free to mail your issues to me. Definitely I'll respond. This is the slide which talks about the importance of concrete. We all know concrete is mostly most widely used material by mankind, and this is only second to water. The first is the maximum consumed material by the mankind, and the second maximum consumed material is concrete. Also, we know that the mixture of cement and coarse and fine aggregate and water mixed in a specific proportion to accomplish the human desire. Specific proportions, the proportions in which we mix the material depends upon the requirements. And I term it as a recipe of concrete. A recipe of concrete, sometimes you require concrete which requires to have high strength. You want to make ultra high performance concrete. Then you have a different proportion to be mixed. And in addition to the cement, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, and water, there are several admixtures. In a lighter term, I prefer to use these admixtures like masalas, which we use to make our recipe more tasty. Normally, in kitchen we make several recipes. I consider concrete also a recipe which we make in our kitchen, which is required to serve the purpose. So the concrete technology is to be addressed as a triangle, the sides of which represents strength, durability, and sustainability. See, as a student, I studied my BTech in JNTU Hyderabad during 83-87. As a student during that time, we were mostly bothered about the strength of concrete. Okay, we were mostly struggling to get, say, M30 concrete or M40 concrete. We were really struggling a lot because during that time, we never had the comfort of admixtures. Later on, admixtures were developed and we were able to produce concrete with sufficient degree of workability with as low water content as possible, as a result of which we were getting better strength. Later on, middle of 90s or late 90s, we had admixtures at our disposal and we could use small dosages of admixtures to make the concrete more workable, and we were able to produce concrete with lower water cement ratio. Later on, the issue of durability crept in. We want the concrete to be more durable because the structures which were constructed in late 90s or early 2000s, they had a lot of durability issues. So we wanted to improve the durability of concrete. And now is the time where we have to also bother about sustainability, like consuming cement, consuming aggregates, consuming water, consuming several naturally available products to make our lives more comfortable. We should also see to it that our future generations also are at least as comfortable as what we are leading our lives today. We wish that they lead a more comfortable, more better life than what we are leading today. So now the concrete technology is a subject which will be discussed in terms of strength, durability, and sustainability. To see that we are not harming the atmosphere. As you all know, friends, the human desires are never ending. Okay, if I get strength today, tomorrow I want durability. If I am happy with durability, then I want sustainability. Once I achieve sustainability, then I don't know what would be the next desire which human beings will normally have. And to satisfy the never-ending human desires, admixtures were invented. Every day we are getting new admixtures. Every day we are getting newer and newer admixtures, which are becoming more and more effective to see that we are getting very good quality concrete, and we use them to see that the durability of the structure is improved, and at the same time we don't compromise with the sustainability issues. So excellent infrastructure was being created or is being created using concrete. You can see beautiful structures. In Hyderabad itself, you have excellent metro facility right now. You can see the Hyderabad airport. You can see beautiful bridges. The latest bridge in Hyderabad, the Cable State Bridge in Durgam Cheru, that also The deck is made up of concrete and the structure, the pylons are made up of concrete, and then you have cables made up of steel. So when somebody makes use of beautiful words, then we say poetry. Okay, when somebody makes use of beautiful words, we call it as poetry. And when we create excellent infrastructure in concrete, that is also called as poetry in concrete. Beautiful buildings are coming up. I'm told about 50-story building, some signature building is also coming up in Hyderabad. And when you look at such beautiful structures, you really feel that the person who was in charge of constructing that building or designing that building really is trying to make a poetry in concrete. Such a beautiful material, it takes whatever shape you want it to take. It can be in fluid condition up to whatever time you want it to be. You can create a concrete of whatever strength you want. But for getting all these things, you basically require a cement, which is mostly responsible for gluing the aggregates. A cement plus water is a material which it forms a gel, and that will be responsible for gluing the coarse aggregate and fine aggregate. But in the future slides, you will see that, cement ecosystem in a larger way. So we need to optimize the ingredients of concrete, try new methods, new materials for sustainable growth. Hence, there is a necessity of concrete to think concrete in terms of green, not only in terms of color friends, but in terms of being more eco-friendly. That is the contention of my presentation today. Most important, if you see these two diagrams, which will show the rate with which the human population is growing on the earth. You can see this is 10,000 BC, 5,000 BC. This is year one. Year one, we were 250 millions. And then year 1000 slightly increased. But just before 2000, in the year 1800, the population of the world became 1 billion. And this 1 billion became 2 billion. It doubled in a span of 130 years, from 1800 to 1930. In a span of 130 years, it took the population in the world to double. Then from 1930 to 1960, just within 30 years, 1 more billion was added. 1960 to 1975, it took another 15 years only for another 1 billion to be added. 1975 to 1987, okay, another 12 years, another 1 billion was added. From 1987 to 2000, another 13 years, 1 more billion was added. So 2000 to another 13 years, let us say 2013, we were about 7 billions. Now we are in 2021, we must be around 8 billions now. One issue is the population growth is increasing exponentially like this. And at the same time, resources are depleting very frequently. I mean, resources are depleting very rapidly. And, more and more number of people love to stay in urban areas now. Because, urban areas, you have a lot of comfort. So people want to stay in the urban areas. So when people want to stay in urban areas, then we have to create more and more facilities, like Hyderabad Airport. A lot of expansion is happening in Hyderabad Airport also. A lot of metro works are happening. A lot of bridges are happening in Hyderabad because several people who were staying in the rural areas are now switching over to Hyderabad. So we have to develop infrastructure in Hyderabad. So I'm giving you an example of Hyderabad because you are sitting in Hyderabad and you know how rapidly Hyderabad is growing. Similar examples we can quote for several metro cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata, and so on. If you look at this diagram, you can clearly see that the world population, okay, in 2050, it is expected to be about 10 millions. And this diagram clearly shows that in developing countries, the rate of growth of population after 1950, see, this is the curve showing developing countries. This is the curve showing the industrialized countries. In the developing countries like India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, several countries, you know, South Asian countries are, most of them are developing now. You can see that the rate of increase of population is more steep. It is more steep. We are somewhere in 2021 around 8 billions. All right. And then 2050, we are going to become more than 10 billions, whereas in industrialized countries, they will be hardly 1.5 billions only. So there is a necessity for the developing countries like India to develop their infrastructure in a more rapid way. To develop the infrastructure in a more rapid way, at the same time, preserve the infrastructure which is already constructed and develop newer and newer materials and newer technologies so that the time taken to construct our infrastructure will reduce. And at the same time, the materials that we are going to use to construct the facilities also are, they are durable, they are easily available, they are less expensive, and they can be easily, you must be able to mold them. So this is the significance of studying the sustainability aspects of concrete technology. So one important thing is the world population is growing. Second important thing is the urbanization is also increasing. So we need to create more and more infrastructure to cater to their needs. Sustainability issues in concrete technology. This slide will consolidate what all I was speaking last few minutes. Population growth is one very important issue. Urbanization is another very important issue. Energy use is another important issue. You know, sometime back, about fortnight back or a month ago, in the news, they were saying that the coal resources are depleting very rapidly and the coal is not available, or the coal is available in the power plants, which is sufficient to prepare the electricity for next 3-4 days only. After that, we thought it's all going to become dark. So energy use is increasing. So you can clearly see air conditioners are increasing, water heaters are increasing, washing machines are increasing. Okay, more and more power is required for lighting my airports, running my railways and so on. So we need to produce more energy. And due to production of more energy, global warming is also increasing. Recently, there was a meeting in which our Honorable Prime Minister also attended that meeting, COP26, which was held in Glasgow. There, they have thoroughly discussed, the world leaders have thoroughly discussed the ill effects of global warming, the major responsible factors for influencing the global warming, and they have taken oath, or they have taken a resolution to see that the global warming is contained up to satisfactory limits. All right, see how this subject is developing. One is population growth is more, then urbanization is more, energy use is more, as a result of which global warming is also becoming significant, and hence after doing all these things, excessive waste is also generated. Excessive waste is also generated. And this excessive waste is a major source of pollution. Right now, Delhi is also suffering with excessive pollution. Hyderabad also is not an exception. Okay, we have to contain the pollution, and the resources are limited. So we have to make use of the available resources very, very judiciously to satisfy the population growth, the urbanization, energy use, and it should minimize the global warming. It should minimize the excessive waste generated. It should minimize the pollution, and we should make use of all these resources which are available to us judiciously. Now, coming to the next issue is, cement is the most important material in making concrete. And production of cement consumes earth resources. We require resources from earth like, limestone is required, coal is required, gypsum is required. All the resources we are consuming from the mother earth. And production of cement involves again burning of coal. And this burning of coal will produce more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which leads to global warming. All right. Later on in the next slide, you will realize that production of cement itself, production of 1 ton of cement will produce 1 ton of carbon dioxide. And you will realize that production of cement is the major contributor to the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is the major contributor to global warming. So we should use cement judiciously. We should use the cement, or we should think of making use of developing alternate materials like cement. See, for example, the Charminar, which is standing in Hyderabad, it was constructed about 400 years ago, more than 400 years ago, when the cement was not existing at all. The present day cement was not existing at all. Still, they could make Charminar, or they could make, Thousand Pillars Temple, which is located in Hanamakonda, Ramappa, which is located in Warangal, your Qutub Minar, which is located in Delhi. There are several forts which were constructed several decades ago, were not constructed using ordinary Portland cement. This explanation is sufficient for us to realize that mankind had another better material than cement. Mankind had better material than cement, which is existing even today. What was that material? We should try to find out. And we should seriously try to do a lot of research and try to find out what will be the different alternatives for the present day ordinary Portland cement or the present day Portland Pozzolana cement. All right. Next, natural resources are depleting rapidly. We all know that. Hence, it is required to either minimize or eliminate the consumption of cement. The natural resources are very, they are very, very rapidly depleting. If you see, when we were traveling from Warangal to Hyderabad, we used to see several hillocks near Bongir, Keshar, Aler, and so on when we were kids. Now, when we are traveling on the same route, we don't find beautiful granite hillocks were there. All the hillocks are being excavated. They are being processed for preparation of aggregate. They are being exported to different countries, and we are trying to make money. So after another 50-60 years, we may not have any hillock. Our grandchildren may not be that, they may not be able to see a hillock. That is also a matter of concern. So the sustainability definition is the development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs without damaging the ecological health of our planet. This is very, very important. Okay, sustainability does not mean that we should starve today. We should consume. Starving not in terms of food. It could be in terms of food, it could be in terms of clothing, it could be in terms of housing, it could be in terms of several comforts that we are enjoying today. Sustainability does not mean that we should compromise on the enjoyment that we are having today, but we should also look into the ability of the future generations to enjoy. Okay, this is very important. To understand this concept, we have to talk about one very important issue, which is called as Earth Overshoot Day. Ecological footprint is a measure of human demand on nature. All right, ecological footprint is a measure of human demand on nature that is also called as Earth Overshoot Day. Let me spend some time talking about Earth Overshoot Day concept, which will make you clearly understand how much we are troubling the Mother Earth. We, in the sense, the entire human beings, the entire mankind, how much we are troubling the Mother Earth. We cannot survive without the resources which the Mother Earth is giving to us. Just think over, starting from the early morning, you wake up till you sleep in the evening, and every day we are so much dependent on the natural resources which the Mother Earth will give us. See, throughout resources to build cities and roads, to provide food and create products, and to release carbon dioxide at a rate that was well within the Earth's budget. Earlier, in the olden days, we used to release carbon dioxide that was well within the Earth's budget. But now that is exceeding. Okay, Earth Overshoot Day, previously known as Ecological Death Day, you can please make a note of this term and then try to explore on these topics later on, is the date on which the humanity's resource consumption for the year exceeds Earth's capacity to generate those resources in that year. To understand this concept, friends, let us take up a simple example that, we get salary for a month. And if we consume that salary, which we normally require for our survival for the entire month, if you go to hotels every day, if you buy more clothes, if you lead a more luxurious life, all right, if you put on your air conditioners, if you put on your fans, if you use your washing machines and everything that is available for the comfort of the human beings, okay, most of the times, even if we are not present in the room, the fans will be on, the lights will be on, all right. So, because of this, that is producing more carbon dioxide. You require more electricity. To produce more electricity, you require more carbon dioxide. If you if it releases more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that is going to increase, or that is going to increase the entire temperature of the globe, as a result of which we have global warming. And you can see, because of global warming, several catastrophes are occurring. Hyderabad, last 2-3 months, I think it has rained so severely, we really struggled. We were scared to enter into Hyderabad. Right now, you can see Chennai is flooding. Similarly, there are several places in the world which are now experiencing the ill effects of global warming. So the example which I was quoting is, if you are given, if your salary is, let us say, X, and if you are required to survive in that salary for 1 full month, and if you consume the entire salary in 1 week, the remaining 3 weeks, we have to either beg, borrow, or steal for our survival. Okay, I can see several people smiling. Okay, if you consume the entire salary in 1 week, the remaining 3 weeks, we will have to either starve, we will have to either beg, we will have to either borrow, or we will have to either steal. But please imagine, if it is coal, if all the resources, coal resources are exhausted, or while making cement, if all the limestone resources are exhausted, which is available with the Mother Earth, from where are we going to beg, steal, or borrow? Are we going to beg from Mars? Are we going to get these resources from Jupiter? Are we going to get these resources from Saturn or Uranus, or which plateau? We do not know whether they have these resources or not. That also we do not know as of today. So what is happening is, now the consumption has increased so much that Earth's capacity to generate those resources in that year is not possible. So we are consuming about 1.5 times the resources which the Earth will normally give to us in 1 year. Then how do we survive in future? That is the main point. Okay, let us take up the next slide. This is a beautiful slide, but this is giving us a very bad experience, but it is teaching us a lesson for us to use the material judiciously. Earth overshoot day. This is trying to squeeze the juice from the earth. You know, this is the earth. This is the human being. We are trying to extract the juice from the Mother Earth. How much juice we can extract? Once the Mother Earth stops giving us the juice, where do we get the juice from? That is very difficult. All right. Now let us see. This concept of Earth overshoot day started sometimes in early 70s. In 1971, it is found that the Earth overshoot day, or in 1971, Earth's overshoot day fell on 21st December. That means whatever resources the Mother Earth was giving us, resources could be anything. It could be your aggregate, it could be your limestone, it could be your coal, it could be your fuel, it could be your clothing, it could be your food. All these are coming from Mother Earth only. So in 1971, this fell on 21st of December. Okay, you can cross-verify this data. This data is available on the Google itself. So after 21st of December, the remaining 9 days in the week, 9 days in that year, whatever resources we were consuming were for the resources which were supposed to be consumed in the next year. Hope you're getting my point. Okay, whatever resources which we were supposed to consume in 1 full year, we have consumed up to 21st of December only in the year 1971. The remaining 9 days, we had to beg, borrow, or steal from the next year. The same thing, you know, look at this diagram. In 1987 also, this is 85, 86, 87 also. Okay, when I passed my BTech, 1987, this date fell on 19th December. After 19th December, 11 days we had to survive on the resources from the next generation or from the next year. Gradually, you see, we did not realize that we are doing so much harm to the earth. Okay. So gradually, you see, we were trying to, 1995, it fell on 21st November. That means after 21st November, 21st December, and then 9 days, 39 days, we had to survive on the next year's resources. And it gradually fell up to August 8 in the year 2016. 2017, it fell on 2nd of August. All right. After 2nd of August, September, October, November, December, that means 4 months. About 120, 130 days. We were eating we were surviving just by begging, borrowing, or stealing from the next year's resources. And you see, 17, 2nd August, 18, 1st August, 19, 29th July. 2020, this star is because of pandemic. Okay, this 2020, it was, I mean, the COVID pandemic was at its peak. It fell on 22nd of August. This year, 2021, it again fell in 29th July. That is, after 29th July, the entire August, September, October, November, December, 5 months, we were overspending the resources. That means, see, this baby is now scared of survival. This is saying, if the present generation is consuming all the resources, how do we survive? This is what is the baby saying. We have to be extremely careful about our future generations. You know, our grandchildren, our grandchildren, they also should enjoy all this beauty of the earth. So we have to be very judiciously consume the resources. So this concept I wanted to present. How to improve the Earth Overshoot Day? How to improve the Earth Overshoot Day? So in 1971, it fell on 21st December, and in 2021, it fell on 29th of July. Reduction of global meat consumption by 50% will move Earth Overshoot Day by 6 days. How many of us are willing to convert into vegetarians? I'm sure nobody will be willing to convert into vegetarians. We all enjoy biryani. So, are we ready to reduce the global meat consumption? No. Now, if you reduce the global meat consumption by 50%, this will move the overshoot day by 6 days. Not very economical solution. You know, compromising on meat consumption also is not good. And if you compromise, this overshoot day will reduce only by 6 days. Food wastage. If you reduce food wastage by 50%, overshoot day will move by 11 days. Every other family has one less child. Move overshoot day by 30 days by 2050. Who knows what will happen by 2050? And every family having one less child. How can we go on preaching people to produce less children? We cannot. Then, reduction of self-driven cars by 50% will move overshoot day by 12 days. How many of us are willing to travel by public transport? None of us. So all these alternatives, we are now accustomed to have luxury of all these things. So we are not willing to change. The most important thing is reducing carbon footprint by 50%. This was the resolution of COP26 meeting. Reducing the carbon footprint by 50% will move the overshoot day by 93 days. This is significant. How to reduce the carbon footprint? We know that cement industry is major contributor of carbon footprint. And Big countries like China, today morning I was seeing the one documentary. They said about 55.5% of the coal produced in the world is consumed by China. So when they are burning so much of coal, obviously their contribution towards carbon footprint is maximum. And cement industry also is set to contribute maximum carbon to the atmosphere. So we have to consume less cement, as less as possible, switch over to greener alternatives. The challenges to the construction industry or cement industry is production of 1 ton of cement will produce about 1 ton of carbon dioxide. It will require about 0.2 tons of coal. Sorry, 1 ton of cement requires 1.2 tons of limestone, 0.2 tons of coal as fuel, 3,500 kilojoules of energy, and it will produce about 0.1 tons of dust, and it will produce about 0.85 to 1.15 tons of carbon dioxide. Non-renewable natural sources like limestone, coal, gypsum, etc. are consumed for the preparation of cement. These natural resources are limited. Limestone reserves are likely to last for 120 years with the present rate of production. But we are now constructing more and more infrastructure. To construct more and more infrastructure, we have to produce more and more cement. And if the cement production plants increase their production capacity, these limestone reserves are likely to last for about 60 years only. After that, what will happen? I'm not scaring you, but I'm putting facts before you so that you do research sincerely and try to produce alternative for cement and cementitious materials. This is another important finding because of global warming. This news appeared in Times of India on September 15, 2016. NASA analysis finds 2016 was the warmest year in 136 years. Again, on 18th January 2018, NASA ranks 2017 as the second warmest year on the record. All these news clippings I'm showing you, I'm trying to put the facts before you so that, I mean, if you wish, you can take a click of this PPT, this presentation, and go to this particular news item. You can key in these words, you can get the entire article. Read it at length. This is again news on 2nd December 2020. This says 2020 is on track to be one of the 3 warmest years on record. 2021 to 2020 will be the warmest decade on the record. Warmest 6 years have all been since 2015. So the temperatures are increasing during summer and temperatures are decreasing during winter, as a result of which we are experiencing extreme temperatures during summer, extreme temperatures during winter, extreme rainfall. You can see this. Frequent severe droughts, flash floods, rise in sea level, storms, hurricanes, cyclones, unusually hot or cold weather that are witnessed today could be due to global warming 30 years ago. So whatever global warming or whatever harm that we have done, we in the sense the mankind has done to the atmosphere 30 years ago, we are experiencing those ill effects today. Whatever bad that we had been doing for the last 30 years, our future generations are going to see. And they are going to witness much more extreme temperatures, much more horrifying cyclones and hurricanes and so on in the next 30, 40 years to come. All right, this is another scary thing, particularly with regard to global warming with regard to cement production. How can we contribute we contribute in reducing these ill effects? We in the sense, civil engineers or structural engineers, mostly we are responsible for consuming cements. So Green concrete for sustainability that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Cost effective, you have to make use of cost effective materials, environmental friendly materials, and sustainable materials we have to use. Use industrial wastes which act as pozzolana like fly ash, okay, silica fume, GGBFS, use supplementary cementitious materials, reduce the consumption of cement, use recycled aggregates, improve concrete to improve the impermeability. Improving the impermeability will increase the durability of the structure. Increasing the durability of the structure will increase the life cycle cost of the structure. All right. So these are things that we need to concentrate in our research. What are they? Supplementary cementitious materials, binary, tertiary admixtures, secondary pozzolanic reactivity we have to encourage, because this will produce additional calcium silicate hydrate, and the additional calcium silicate hydrate is much stronger, much denser. This will lead to much improved durability. So secondary pozzolanic reactivity will be initiated by the use of binary and tertiary admixtures. This will reduce heat of hydration. This will reduce thermal shrinkage. This will reduce alkali silica reaction. And of course, this is going to reduce the cost also. And when all of them can be reduced, your shrinkage can be reduced, cracking phenomenon also can be reduced. Therefore, the structure will have more durability. By using the supplementary cementitious materials will improve workability, it will improve flowability, it will improve pumpability. So using supplementary cementitious materials is something like, win-win solution. You are using them, they are normally the waste from an industry. You are using the waste from the industry to use in concrete, so that you are doing something good to the concrete. This will improve impermeability, and as a result of which this will have long-term strength and durability. Natural pozzolanas, they are clay, shale, pumice, shirts, etc. Artificial pozzolanas are normally industrial waste like fly ash, GGBFS, silica fume, rice husk ash, metakaolin, etc. And when we can produce when we have class C fly ash, unfortunately in India, we don't have class C fly ash, we have only class F fly ash. So if we can have class C fly ash, we can produce high volume fly ash concrete, wherein this fly ash can be replaced with about 70 to 80% of cement. But unfortunately, this we do not have. All right, this depends upon the raw material. The raw material for the fly ash is coal. The Indian coals are not capable of producing class C fly ash. So another point from my experience, I did my MTech at JNTU Anantapur in the year 88, 89. Then people were thinking to use fly ash, and they were thinking that use of fly ash was a taboo 3 decades ago. During 1989 and 1990, people were saying fly ash is not good for concrete. They said fly ash was a taboo. But now, concrete without fly ash is a sin. See, there is a drastic change in the thinking process of people. And this drastic change has come because of a lot of research that has went into this area. Another alternative for cement is geopolymer concrete. I have seen the entire, schedule of presentations. We have dedicated the presentations for geopolymer concrete in this program. So I'm going to just touch upon the basic significance of geopolymer concrete. This is also called as alkali activated concrete. This is likely to be the future of concrete. And in this, we don't require cement at all. We use only industrial waste like GGBFS or cement and so on. This binder consists of primarily of silicates, aluminosilicates, and calcium. So all these industrial wastes can be used as basic materials. Alkaline activators such as sodium hydroxide, sodium silicate, sodium carbonate, they can be used either in powdered form or in liquid form. The reaction which is involved in geopolymerization is polycondensation, whereas ordinary Portland cement or Portland pozzolana cement that we are using now, the reaction is called as hydration. All right. So this was given the name as geopolymer by a scientist called Davidovich in the year 1974. So the research activities on alkali activated concrete with GGBFS, fly ash are going on to understand physical, mechanical, chemical, and durability properties to make it a future concrete based on the availability and to accomplish ecological and economical benefits. So this is likely to be the future of concrete. And let us see what are the advantages that this will have. The advantages of geopolymer concrete: most important, no carbon dioxide emission, no global warming. We can safeguard our planet Earth for long time. This does not require any water for curing. Does not require any water for curing. This will use only waste of steel and power industry. This will conserve acres of land used for land tilling or limestone mining. Land filling or limestone mining. All right. You don't require to mine limestone in future when we start using geopolymer concrete. This has very large range of fire resistance, minus 20 degrees to 700 degrees centigrade. This is highly resistant to acids, toxic waste, and salt water. It will have high compressive strength and low shrinkage. These are all the benefits which geopolymer concrete has. And when you have these benefits, it is definitely going to be a future of concrete technology. Okay. In this, the gel, which is made up of, industrial waste and alkaline activator, which it will bind the loose, coarse, and fine aggregates to form geopolymer concrete. Polymerization accelerates with temperature. Therefore, you have to cure it. Okay, the rate of gain of strength may be very high. This is going to have excellent mechanical and durability properties. So only problem is you will have to cure it at elevated temperature. But right now, several researches are going on wherein geopolymer concrete is also being produced by curing at normal temperatures itself. Parameters influencing the behavior of geopolymer concrete is the ratio of silicon dioxide to aluminum trioxide, activator liquid to source material, sodium silicate to sodium hydroxide ratio, concentration of sodium hydroxide, curing temperature, time and water content. So all these parameters influence the behavior of geopolymer concrete, and the geopolymer concrete will help me address all the issues like strength, durability, and sustainability, which my ordinary Portland cement has failed to address. Another future of concrete will be sulfur infiltrated concrete. So in place of using cement, we can use of molten sulfur. Molten sulfur can be a gluing agent for loose aggregates. This has fairly good strength. This has good chemical and acid resistance. This is used for precast roofing elements, fencing posts, sewer lines, railway sleepers, highly corrosion resistance, rapid gain of strength. This has high initial cost, but low overall life cycle cost. The life cycle cost is less. That means the life of such structure made up of sulfur concrete will be enormously improved. Sulfur concretes are promising material for space building, because they do not require water and carbon dioxide for hardening. You might have seen the news, the recent news. We are now talking about space tourism. We are now talking about space tourism. So we can go to space, stay there for a day or two. We can construct our houses there using sulfur concrete. Another good news is Mars is a sulfur-rich planet with pressure sustaining solid state of crystalline sulfur. However, on the surface of the moon, okay, the pressure is much lower, resulting in sublimation of crystalline sulfur. That means the good news is that we can construct a house on the moon or Mars, go there, stay there for some time, come back. Days are not too far. And another technology of constructing the houses is 3D printing. I'm going to just give you a brief insight into 3D printing also. This sulfur concrete made up of molten sulfur could be suitable for 3D printing. Another promising material is polymer concrete. So in place of cement, we can use polymer. We can think of making use of waste plastic. Okay, melt it and use it as a binder. Reduction, this polymer concrete reduction in porosity results in increase in strength. Reduction in porosity is due to vibration, pressure application, spinning, etc. Results in improvement of compressive strength, modulus of elasticity, permeability, impact resistance, and abrasion resistance. So you can think of constructing your houses using polymer concrete. Initial cost may be slightly high, but with research, that cost also can be reduced. And this could be a beautiful material for constructing the, your roads, constructing your bridges, constructing your buildings, and so on. There can be three types of concretes using polymer material: polymer impregnated concrete, polymer cement concrete, polymer concrete. So in polymer cement concrete, polymer is used as a partial replacement to cement. Whereas polymer impregnated concrete or polymer concrete. Polymer impregnated concrete means, first of all, with your proper grading of aggregate or your particle density factor method, you can prepare the matrix of the aggregates such that the voids are minimum, and then you can inject polymer into such a matrix. All right. So partially impregnated and surface coated polymers, this is used for waterproofing and so on. And this could be a better material. This could be a better material for prefabricated pre-stressed concrete, marine works, desalination plants, nuclear power plants, sewage works, and waterproofing, etc. Okay, this is highly chemical resistant also. Another important development in the area of concrete technology, which Professor Seshagiri Rao is going to talk about this material after my presentation is over. I'm happy to inform you that Professor Seshagiri Rao was my teacher at JNTU Hyderabad. So this bacterial concrete is also called a self-healing concrete. It's a miracle. The bacteria are added to concrete mixture as spores. Spores are inactive cells with high survival rate. Initially, the bacteria will be comfortably sleeping. The bacteria will be comfortably sleeping inside the concrete. But later on, what happens is, how do I remove this? Yeah. Later on, in case this bacteria will be sleeping comfortably inside the concrete, but if the concrete cracks because of some reason, then you have atmospheric moisture entering into the concrete. Okay, atmospheric moisture and some food also will be entering into the concrete, and then automatically this bacteria will wake up. consume this moisture and this food, and this excretes, and the excreta of this bacteria will seal the cracks. Excreta of this bacteria will seal the cracks. Once the cracks are sealed, again the supply of water and the moisture and the food will be stopped. Again the bacteria will sleep off. That means they are proof against unfavorable circumstances like temperature fluctuation and moisture. Spores become active when getting into contact with water. When the alkali bacteria grow active, they make limestone out of calcium lactate. When the living conditions become unfavorable, again the bacteria will form spores. Such mechanism can heal the cracks up to 0.8 millimeters within 100 days. That means the concrete could one day be able to fix their own surface cracks. How beautiful it is. As I told you, during late 80s, when I was a student, we were struggling to get M20 grade concrete because of inavailability of super plasticizers. Later on, we could develop several admixtures. We could develop concrete with low water cement ratio and use admixtures to compensate the loss of workability, get high strength concrete. Later on, we could develop self-compacting concrete with the use of admixtures. The concrete will compact on its own so that the construction rate will become more faster. Later on, we could develop self-curing concrete. Concrete will automatically cure on its own. And now we have self-healing concrete also. So as a result of this, the concrete, the man-made material concrete will become self-sufficient in some time. Again, water is another scarcest commodity, and we are finding extremely difficult to supply drinking water, potable water to the people. So we have to conserve a lot of water, save a lot of water. So as far as possible, we have to use pervious concrete. Pervious concrete is mostly made up of single size aggregate. It will have only coarse aggregate and cement. And this can be used as a paver material. And once the rain falls on it, the rainwater will get absorbed and then it is going to supply to the substructure. Thereby my groundwater gets recharged. All right, there are some points here. All right, sewage treatment plant, sludge beds, clogging of pores. The problem is clogging of pores will prevent the purpose of such concrete. So we should prevent clogging of pores. We should clean the surface at frequent intervals. Another area of concrete technology which is now gaining more importance is reactive powder concrete, RPC. This is ductile. This does not use coarse aggregate. This uses finer and finer aggregate only. With this we get ultra high strength, we get high durability, we get low porosity, we have low unit weight. What else you want? High strength is there, high durability is there, low porosity is there, low unit weight is there. And to make this, we use again the same ordinary Portland cement, or I had been preaching all this time that we have to avoid ordinary Portland cement. Yes, with the present technology, we have to use ordinary Portland cement only. But in future, the gluing material can be replaced with a different material. You can use fine sand, silica fume, quartz powder, high tensile steel fibers, low water cement ratio, and we use super plasticizers. Mixture proportion is obtained by optimizing parking density. Precise gradation is to be used. Use of highly refined silica fume to improve microstructure, promote pozzolanic reaction, application of pressure during setting. Curing can be normal curing or high pressure steam curing. When you get all these benefits, obviously the cost is going to be high. The cost of such concrete is 5 to 10 times more than the ordinary high strength concrete. But minimum heterogeneity, more durability, no shrinkage and creep, improved ductility, resistance to abrasion, erosion and corrosion, and so on. And you can get For normal concrete, compressive strength will be from between 25 to 35 megapascals, whereas reactive powder concrete, the compressive strength will be around 200 megapascals. Normal concrete is relatively weak, extremely brittle, no tensile strength, high thermal expansion, and so on. Whereas reactive powder concrete compressive strength, I told you it's about 200 megapascals, flexural strength will be 50 megapascals, modulus of elasticity between 45 to 50 gigapascals, more ductile, more durable, low capillary porosity, okay, high endurance, high resistance to de-icing salt, greatly reduced permeability to moisture, chlorides, and chemical attack. It is increased resistance to abrasion and speedy construction, and you can make such thin elements using reactive powder concrete. You can make such beautiful furniture also using reactive powder concrete. Though the cost is more, the consumption is less, the life is more, the life cycle cost also will be more. Now, let me give you another important concept, that how about using plastic waste in the construction? Okay, all these have come in the news. You can take a picture of this and later on you can go to Google News and type these words. You can get the entire article and you can start reading it. Tripura has just constructed its first road that is completely using only plastic waste. This news came on 23rd February 2021. Use of plastic in cement concrete roads can be the new normal. A lot of plastic is going waste. You can collect the plastic, process it, convert it into a useful material. But you know, concrete is a property of civil engineers. But when we have to make use of plastic, then we should learn something about plastic, and we have to do some interdisciplinary research. Civil engineers and chemical engineers can join together, use molten plastic mix it with the aggregates and then make concrete. That is possible. 15th February 21 again, ACC Limited launches low carbon range of concrete EcoPact. Circular economy isn't just planet friendly, it's a $1 trillion market opportunity. This is what the government of India is also looking at. Circular economy, whatever is waste for me may be a precious commodity for somebody else. So we have to make use of our waste to improve the economy of some other company or somebody else. Like, you know, giving a simple example, whatever clothes that we have used, we can give those clothes to others. We can use those clothes to others so that they can also survive. Similarly, whatever waste that is being generated from a particular plant can be used as a precious resources for some other plant. 11th December 2020, lower your concrete carbon footprint, and these 4 innovative methods. What 4 innovative methods are there? I don't want to talk about them here. Definitely, they could be suggesting use of supplementary cementitious materials and then make use of different types of cements and so on. You can key in these words. You can go to Google News and get the entire article. Deep decarbonization of cement, oxy-fuel burners, and hydrogen electrolyzers show the way. So, in place of burning coal, can we think of using something else to produce energy? Okay. Then 15th February 2020, bendable concrete and other carbon dioxide infused cement mixes could dramatically cut global emissions. All right. So we can you can make use of carbon dioxide in a better way, make concrete which has better bending resistance also. You can key in this, find out which university is working in this area, try to collaborate with those people and try to do some good research. 4th March 2021, a machine that grabs plastic waste and shreds it to hit Indian roads soon. These plastic pavers are earth savers. This is another news on 7th February 2021. One aspect is to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions in the atmosphere, friends. The other aspect is whatever carbon dioxide that is there in the atmosphere, can we use that carbon dioxide in a better way? Again, 18 February 2021, new concrete recipe soaks up twice the carbon of the conventional one. So they have prepared a concrete which will soak up, which will absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Self-healing concrete is another important thing, which I'm sure you have understood the concept. I talked about it some time back. EcoCrete turns marine infrastructure into thriving natural ecosystems. Again, February 2021, 19th February, carbon as an untapped resource, a new crop of Alberta companies take up on the carbon dioxide challenge. You can tap carbon dioxide and convert that into a useful product. 22nd December 2020, the news item was, could carbon dioxide be turned into a jet fuel? If you can consume the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, convert that into jet fuel, friends, your air travel is likely to become much more cheaper. Because, when you have to travel on the surface of the earth, a lot of infrastructure is required. Air travel, you require an airport here, you require an airport at the other end. So if you can use carbon dioxide and convert that into jet fuel, that is going to definitely make use of this jet fuel, okay? And your air travel is likely to become cheap after some time. Another technology which I wanted to highlight here is a 3D printing technology, something like, your printer which we use. In printer, we use ink. We are getting black and white printer, we are getting color printer. So in the printer, whatever your computer asks the printer to print, it will simply deposit ink there. Whereas 3D printing technology, in place of ink, I can use concrete. But the concrete, again, the concrete will not be using 20 mm aggregate or 12 mm aggregate. The concrete will be this fine, and you have a nozzle here. This will be a concrete computer controlled system. You have a nozzle here. See, this is the building which was inaugurated, which is existing in Dubai. This was inaugurated in the year 2020, February 2020. This is a closer look of the same building. And this is how it was constructed. You have a crane which is operated using concrete, and you have a nozzle. Okay, you simply deposit, you pressurize concrete and send it through this nozzle. It will place the concrete wherever the computer wants it to place the concrete. The advantages are you get beautiful shapes of the building. Okay, you can construct the building at a rapid pace. The time requirement to construct the infrastructure will drastically reduce. But several parameters are there, which will be the parameters of concrete, which are going to be important. The requirement for the concrete for 3D printing is pumpability, the ease and reliability with which material is moved through delivery system, printability, the ease and reliability of depositing material through a deposition device, buildability, the resistance of a deposited wet material to deform under load, open time, the period where the above properties are consistent within acceptable tolerance. Something like a jet printer or an ink printer. All right. The key drivers for the growth in the market are increasing popularity of green construction. You can use green materials in this. Time pressures on construction. Increasing cost effectiveness of the technology. Growth of the construction and infrastructure sector. All these issues are pushing the technology, 3D printing technology to develop. So here also the most important technology barrier lies in the material itself, which needs to set and cure rapidly before adding one layer onto another layer. Hope you got the point. You know, if it is an ordinary concrete, then we talk about initial setting time and final setting time only. But here we should talk about workability retention, high yield stress, low viscosity, thixotropy, rate of hydration, strength gain, and so on, these issues. IIT Madras is involved in this. 3D printed house inaugurated at IIT Madras on 27th April 2021. This news came in Times of India. You can click this picture, go to Times of India, say this India's first 3D printed house at IIT Madras. You can get the entire news item. You can read this. This is the house, beautiful house which was constructed at IIT Madras, which is using 3D printing technology. Another issue which I wanted to dwell upon is the aggregates, the use of aggregates. They are also consuming natural resources. In place of using natural aggregates, we can also think of using construction and demolished waste. All right. The issue is normally the construction and demolished waste will go into landfill only. Leads to illegal occupation of lakes, leads to depletion of groundwater table. So we recommend, we are doing a lot of work here at NIT Warangal on the use of recycled aggregate in concrete. We can produce this recycled aggregate. This will be eco-friendly, innocuous, better disposal of C&D waste. The issue is ITZ, the inter-transitional zone. See, this is the aggregate, and you have a lot of mortar adhered to the surface of the aggregate. This is going to be a major issue by using this C&D waste. The use of C&D waste is recommended because the natural aggregates are depleting very rapidly. Requirement of building infrastructure is also increasing due to population growth and urbanization. Necessary to identify alternative sources for aggregates. As I told you, as a child, when I was traveling from Warangal to Hyderabad, I used to see several hills on the way, but now all the hills have been consumed by human beings. And if they do not exist in future, how do we construct the house is a major issue. So we should do a lot of research on the use of construction and demolished waste. And now construction and demolished waste is being dumped in the low-lying areas, which is causing a lot of rainwater flooding. Hence, it is necessary to use C&D waste in concrete or in granular subbase for the construction of roads. The news item again, August 2020, it says India recycles only 1% of C&D waste. 5th July 2019, India drowns in C&D waste, C&D debris. Because, a lot of construction activity is happening. Old construction is becoming old. It is becoming obsolete. So we are demolishing them and then simply dumping them in lakes. Instead of doing that, if you can convert that C&D waste, into, you can crush them, wash them, sieve them, and then produce good quality aggregates, that will be a wonderful achievement. What is the problem of using C&D waste? One problem I told you is ITZ, that anyway we are addressing. But when it comes to social scenario, scant necessity as on date. I hope you remember this story. The crow was thirsty and there was no water. There was very little water in the jug, The crow had an idea. It picked pebbles and then dropped it into this jug, and then the water came up, kawa piya pani and ho gayi kahani. This we used to teach to our kids. The problem is Aggregates, as on today, we have plenty, but sand, lot of sand mafia is having, I mean, it is dominant everywhere. Second issue is inadequate awareness. People are not aware that this can be used. As I told you, 30 years ago, use of fly ash was a taboo. Now, concrete without fly ash is a sin. Similarly, maybe after 30 years down the line, natural sand may not be available, natural aggregates may not be available. Then we have to switch over to these technologies. As of today, if you spend some more money, natural aggregates are available. But after some time, even if you spend a lot of money, when the natural aggregates are not available, then we have to use these aggregates only. Lack of will from public and government. But now government will is also changing. Public will is also slowly changing. I'll show you how. Insignificant efforts in commercializing recycling of C&D waste. You have to commercialize. Now that is also happening. I'll show you. Little efforts to encourage recycling C&D efforts, C&D waste. All right. See, this proverb, necessity is the mother of invention. When the things are available to you at your disposal, you won't bother to do research. But when the necessity is there, then we will start doing research. Necessity is the mother of invention. It is true. But its father is creativity. We should have that creativity bent of mind. And this too is not sufficient. Knowledge is a midwife. Midwife means somebody who helps to do things. Knowledge is required to do these things. So necessity now, it is now starting. See, Corona. 2019 December it started. 2020 January, February it started crept in India also. 2020 March 2020 we went into lockdown. Even today we do not have adequate knowledge about Corona. We are just doing some treatments for Corona. Those who are lucky enough are surviving, those who are unlucky are dying. Even today we do not have knowledge. So necessity is the mother of invention. So the Corona has forced us to do some research and try to come out of the situation. Father is the creativity and the knowledge is the midwife. Knowledge that is more important. All right, that will help us to meet our day-to-day requirements. Some news about special concretes, friends. I think I'll stop here. It is 1:24. You can take a picture of this and you can go to Google and try to find some more information about these topics. World's hardest concrete, reported strength of 400 megapascals. Isn't it beautiful? Kanzaba University reported strength of 400 megapascals, porosity-free concrete. Living concrete, photosynthesis is now being used to prepare the gel, and this gel will automatically percolate into the concrete, into the aggregate matrix, and that will produce concrete. Okay. So this University of California is utilizing carbon dioxide, converts into beneficial products. LC3 cement is also now coming up. I think there is one more speaker who's going to speak about LC3 cement also. Lunar geopolymer. This is another area. Lunar geopolymer. Concrete made up of human waste and lunar soil can be used to construct moon base. All right. Now, NTPC at Ramagundam unit, they have succeeded in preparing geopolymer aggregate. As I told you, natural aggregates are depleting very rapidly. So they have used their fly ash and they have prepared geopolymer aggregate. I don't know, that could be the future. So this is again special concrete in the latest news. News in C&D waste in Hyderabad also. Okay, Telangana to set up 6 more construction and demolition processing plant in Hyderabad. Near GD Metla, there is a place called Fataullah Guda, I think. There we have a C&D waste processing plant the government has already set up. Government is now contemplating to set up 6 more C&D processing plants in different districts also. All right, these are the happenings with regards to C&D waste in Telangana, in the entire country also. A lot of awareness is now coming. People are trying to make use of C&D waste in their construction products. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity with the last sentence that let us help the earth heal for the survival of the mankind. So we should stop hurting the mother earth, allow it to heal so that we all will flourish and survive. So thank you very much once again for the organizers for giving me this opportunity to interact with you all. If there are any questions, I'll be definitely happy to answer.
Participant, if they have a question, please post in the chat box.
Yeah, you can post in the chat box.
Okay, otherwise sir has given his mail ID. You can write a mail to sir. Sir will respond. Sir, thank you so much, sir. Thanks for giving a very informative session and a very interesting way, sir. Your presentation is really excellent, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for those good words. I hope all the participants have enjoyed. Yeah, if there are any questions, I can answer. Otherwise, we can call it a day.
Here, one person said, sir, can we use any type of bacteria in SHC?
Not any type, sir. There are specific types of bacteria which Professor Seshagiri Rao in the afternoon session is going to highlight. You know, you cannot make use of any bacteria for any purpose. There is a specific bacteria which you have to use it for that particular purpose only. Yes, ma'am, I think I have answered that question. Let the
Yes, sir.
concerned person attend the next lecture also, then he will be able to get some more information.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Can I close? Can I quit?
Yes,
ma'am?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It is a lunch session. I request all the participants to join back again at 1:45 after filling the Google form. I hope you filled the Google form for this particular session. For the next session, you please join the session at 1:40, not 1:45, sorry. The session is at 2:30, so 2:15. The session will be started at 2:15. Join back again at 2:15 after filling the Google form. We'll send the Google form before itself. Okay. So please do that. Now we'll adjourn the session for lunch. Thank you so much.